Good afternoon, students. Today we will be doing internal corporate governance mechanism. Internal corporate governance mechanism refers to the corporate governance mechanism which exists within the organization. It is very essential to have effective internal corporate governance mechanism because it will help improving the financial performance as well as adherence to best corporate governance practices. It comprises of three parts: board composition, board committees, and whistleblowers. In this video, we'll be covering the first two parts, board composition and board committees. The next part we will be covering in next video. Let us start with the board composition. Board comprises of five parts: chairman, CEO, MD. In India, CEO is called MD also. So executive directors, non-executive directors, and secretary. It is always said that board will be effective if it has a good combination of executive and non-executive directors. Let us see who is the chairman. Chairman is not a specific post, rather he is the director who is elected from among the directors. He is the leader of the board actually. His main role is presentation of the policy, and he also looks after the performance of the executive directors, and it plays a lead role in the board meetings. Then comes CEO, as it is clear from the name itself that he is the chief executive officer. Chief executive officer means he is elected from among the executive officers, executive directors. In India, CEO is also called MD, Managing Director, and he has substantial powers. And such powers are given to him by the board. So he works under the direct control of the board of directors, but is given substantial powers. And he is mainly responsible for ensuring the adequate internal control systems and managing the overall operations and keeping the board informed about the major aspects. Then comes the executive directors. Executive directors are the members of the board and are the employees of the organization. They are paid salary for their job, and their main work is managing they take part in day-to-day. They're responsible for day-to-day management, and they are responsible for the activities like managing people, hiring people, and entering into the contracts and like that. Then comes non-executive directors. Non-executive directors are those who are not employees of the organization. They are just given sitting fee for attending the board meetings, but they are very much part of the board of directors. These non-executive directors, they are different from executive directors in the sense that executive directors are the employees, whereas non-executive directors are not employees. Executive directors are mainly responsible for the management, whereas non-executive directors are mainly responsible for governance. Executive directors are paid salary, whereas non-executive directors are paid sitting fee. So non-executive directors can further be classified into two parts: independent directors and non-independent directors. Independent directors are those non-executive directors who apart from getting the remuneration, they don't have any pecuniary interest in the company. They are not related to the directors, promoters, or such companies in which such directors etc. are interested. So that means, in other words, that means they are totally independent. They just get the sitting fee, and they don't have any other interest in the organization. Whereas non-independent directors are those who do not fulfill these conditions. That means they might have some interest in the organization apart from getting the fees. Now then comes the secretary. Secretary is a person who is the link between between the board of directors, company, shareholder, and other regulatory agencies. So it is said that, so this was all about board members. It is said that board must be an appropriate combination of executive and non-executive directors. It is said that if chairman of the board is executive directors, then at least 50% of the total directors should be non-executive, and if the chairman is non-executive, then at least 1/3 of the total directors should be non-executive. We move on to the other part, that is board committees. There are generally 4 committees which are recommended. Board committees means these are the committees which are framed out of the board for specific purposes. As the name suggests, first committee is audit committee. Audit committee is comprises of mainly 3 directors. Most of them should be independent directors, and main role of audit committee is to look after the audit functions. They help in nominating the names of the auditors. They help in giving the names of the internal auditors. They are mainly responsible for seeing that internal control systems are in practice and are effectively working. They are mainly they are to tie up with the management as well as with the external auditors. Then is nomination and remuneration committee. These nomination committee nominates the names of the key personnel who are to be appointed, and mainly they are also responsible for framing the remuneration policy for those key personnels, like sales manager, production manager, and other important persons in the organization. Then is stakeholders relationship committee. Stakeholders relationship committee is mainly responsible for handling the grievances of the different stakeholders. Then comes the CSR committee. It is mainly responsible for framing the corporate social responsibility policy of the company. Then comes the whistleblowers. We will be taking the whistleblowers part in the next video. Till then, thank you. Dear students, we'll be discussing the topic whistleblowers today. It's a very important topic in corporate governance. We will be discussing what is whistleblowing mechanism. Then we will discuss who are the whistleblowers. Then what are the types of whistleblowers. What are the components of whistleblowing mechanism, and then positive and negative impacts of whistleblowing mechanism. Let us start with what is whistleblowing mechanism actually. International Labor Organization defines whistleblowing mechanism as a mechanism of reporting by the present or past employee of any illegal, irregular, dangerous, or any unethical practice being followed by the employer. It is actually an art whereby any employee, present or past, draws public attention or attention of an authority of any wrongdoing, misconduct, or unethical practice being followed by the employer. These unethical practices can be like fraud, corruption, bullying, health and safety violations, and so on. Now, who are the whistleblowers? Whistleblowers are the persons, usually he is the employee of the organization, who reveals about the unethical practice. He can reveal it to the government or to any law enforcement agency. Then types of whistleblowers. There are 2 types of whistleblowers, internal whistleblowers and external whistleblowers. Internal whistleblowers may be within the organization who disclose about the illegal, immoral, or illegitimate practice being followed by the employer. He or she can be the employee, the superior officer, or any other designated officer. And external whistleblowers can be like a supplier, a lawyer, a law enforcement agent, or a media person. Now, what are the objectives of whistleblowing? Actually, objectives of whistleblowing is to encourage the employees to bring unethical or illegal activities into limelight and to minimize the organization's exposure to damage that can occur when employee circumvent some internal mechanisms, and then let the employees know whether the organization is serious about the adherence to codes or conduct. Now, what are the components of a whistleblower mechanism? First, a whistleblower, as I have already explained, the first component is whistleblower. Second is an unethical practice. As I have already explained, unethical practice can be a corruption, health or safety violation, then it can be a criminal offense, then it can be a breach to some legal obligation, then it can be an environmental damage being done by the organization, like that. Then third component is an authority. Authority is the person to whom communication is sent about the illegal activity. This authority can be law enforcement agency or it can be a government. Then last is a whistleblower policy. A clear-cut whistleblower policy should be in existence within an organization. Now, what are the positive or negative impacts of whistleblowing? Considering the positive impacts first, it helps in timely reporting to the top management. Whistleblowing helps the organization by informing the wrongful activities to the top level management at the early stage, so that management can take corrective action and prevent further wrongdoing. Second, it boosts employee morale because employees will have this feeling that they have the power to change unethical practices of the organization. Then third is it enhances goodwill. Whistleblowing mechanism enhances the goodwill of the organization because public will have faith in that organization which has effective whistleblowing mechanism in process. Then societal benefits. Whistleblowing will increase the safety and well-being of all the members of the society because early whistleblowing of dangerous working conditions may prevent many unforeseen accidents. Considering the negative impacts, it can lead to a bad reputation to the company because whistleblowing may bring potential reputational damage like public defame. Not only this, whistleblowing can also have financial impacts in terms of fees of court cases, etc. Then whistleblower mechanism protection. It is just a myth. Whistleblowers may also face serious actions like employers may fire the whistleblower out of the organization, or it may put pressures on them to quit from the organization and so on. Thank you so much.